This is my third attempt of making this video. I tried twice last night. The first time the camera died, and the second time OBS decided it didn't want to exist anymore. So, seeing if you're big into the into my Instagram page, there was some videos about recording my drum kit. You can't really see it, but there's a drum kit here. Splitting it where you just record the cymbals and the shells, and then doing another take where you just record. Well, I'm just going to record the whole thing all together and compare them against each other and see what it's like. See if there's any tangible advantage to doing it all together or separately. Because obviously, if you do it separately, you've got the whole thing. If you now got to make two parts line up properly. Which you're not going to get the same feel as if you're doing it all in one take. Anyway, so I did that. There are videos where you can see me hitting my leg with a drumstick trying to keep time, and this is the result. So I have two recordings of the same drum part, one with the split and one all together. So I'm just going to take you through what it's like. Immediately off the bat, with no processing applied to either of them, they sound the same. There's like, if you're not going to do much processing on it, there's not really that much kind of point going into all the effort of recording it separately. If you're going to do processing on it, that's kind of where the advantages start to become apparent, and you'll be able to see that in a minute. So, my mouse has died again. This is just the skins from this recording. All that's on here is just a bit of EQ, all the gates and the compression's turned off. I didn't use the toms or the crush mic. Everything's off on there, and then on the overheads is just more EQ. So this is just straight up EQ. Sounds like drums, with the kind of added effect of you've actually got quite a lot of room tone now, which is something I struggle in this room with, because it's not very big and there's not really anywhere to put a room mic that's not kind of full of cymbal bleed. I've been told that cymbal bleed is where the music magic fairies live, but bleed, not good. That was a Meshuggah reference. If you just listen to the overhead, there's a lot of room tone in there, so you can kind of almost use these overheads. Yes, they're still positional, but if you're using lots of toms, you get the pitch of the whole kit. But for my use case, they're now room mics. Because otherwise, the other way I've been having to do it so far is I just take all my close mics. I've still got my overheads in there for the cymbals. I've had to take all of my close mics for like the snare, the toms, a little bit of kick, that kind of jazz, and run it into something like UAD Sound City and just use that to build my room tone, because otherwise I have no room sound and it sounds very, very small and not very nice. And anyway, but yeah, on their own, they sound really good. And then you can go add gating and compression. There's not really much compression, it's just beefing it up a little bit, and then you get something like this. Play it all together. So that's without the overheads, and then effectively with the room mic. And obviously you could go into the room, into the overheads, you could put more compression on it to make it sound bigger, but that sounds like a bigger room than the not massive room I'm in right now, which I think is really cool. And then you just get into the cymbals, which is even less processing on it, because I'm just using the overheads with fairly similar EQ. It's just 400 and whatever it was, about 420 hertz. The dry dark cymbal here, the dry dark brilliant cymbal, it has this really weird, come back in focus please, has this really weird resonance, I didn't like it, so I deleted it. But you just get the hats sound, well, pretty much just hats sound like this. And you add it all back together, you get which I think sound like really nice drums. They sound really lively, they sound big. They could obviously be made bigger, but you've got more scope to do that now without any samples, because you don't have any of the bleed issues with these. So then obviously we've now got to go over to the other version, which has bleed in it. So if I just go and turn off the gates, that's got compression on it still. Turn off the compression, you idiot. Right, this is the comparison. So this is the skins, or the shells, or whatever you want to call it, close mics versus the altogether close mics of just the shells. I don't know about you, I can hear quite a big difference between that. You actually get you hear more of the shells because you don't have the bleed there. You can hear the decay much more than you can when you've got the bleed. Anyway, with this, and now you go and add back in the overheads. It sounds like drums. I mean, if you turn off the processing on this, I've done something here, and I think I've made the overheads louder than they should be. Oh, I know what I've done. I didn't turn the overheads back on. Right, take two. So this is the skins and cymbals recorded separately, all together, with no processing. What's apparent immediately is there's a lot more room tone on those shells than you can ever get realistically with this doing it the other way, because you've got all the bleed in there. This is kind of, at least for me in my circumstances, recording in this room, these are the cymbal mics. There's almost no point trying to use them to build out the rest of the kit, because in here they just get swallowed by cymbals. Like, you can get the attack, but that's all you're getting. Whereas in this, it sounds like a room. It sounds like you've actually put the drums in a room and you can hear that room on the shells. I should probably take an IR of this room. I will be doing that. I will be doing an IR of this room. So I said there wasn't much of a difference, but I guess there is. You've got more flexibility. Where it becomes even more apparent is when you start lumping your processing back on it. And so if I stick all of this back on, so this is your skins and cymbals. And then the processing on the all-together drums, I did have a gate on this, and I will show you why I've taken the gate off this. The choke, I started out, when I first started recording drums, I'd gate everything because I'd come from doing MIDI drums, and obviously when you play the kick, you can only hear the kick. And that's what I thought I needed. In an ideal world, do that. It's not an ideal world. So obviously I can hear a bit of the snare, a bit of the cymbals in the kick. And obviously this just sounds unnatural. Obviously it's not a problem when you've not compressed it, but when you've got a compressor on it, depending on how hard that compressor's working, every time the gate kicks in, you're going to be hearing the kick, but it's also going to boost up that bit of the cymbal. You might want that. You might want extra attack on this one bit of the cymbal that comes in when the kick plays, but I don't want that. I think it sounds weird. So instead of doing that, I'm just putting in a compressor on, which is going to bring all of it up anyway, but I think that's going to sound better than having random cymbal hits just turn up when they play with the kick. I mean, it's not tons of compression either, but... I say that, it's doing 7 dBs of reduction. Again, for the snare, you could probably gate this, but you're going to have the same problems. And also, you're not going to then pick up the ghost notes, which a lot of the stuff I play ends up having. I mean, when I play, I ghost a lot of my notes. I play a lot of ghost notes on the snare, and I find that honestly, probably 70% of the time, if I put a gate on it, I lose most of them, and I'm then hoping that the overhead has enough range with the cymbals playing to actually hear them. And obviously, if you're hammering away at the cymbals, then you can't, which also then brings in the case of you've got to play the instrument for the room you're in and for the setting of the music, and you should try and mix yourself by not playing the cymbals as hard and then playing the shells play the cymbals quieter and hit the shells harder. But I mean, for example, my minor crash over there, you can look at it and it's loud. So I put tape on it and it kind of works, but then you kind of lose the cymbal, really. You get the attack, but nothing else, which might be fine in a mix, but I like listening to the drums in solo because they're good. I'm not going to gate that. I'm just going to stick a compressor on it. This is... versus... So I think the difference there is fairly stark. Obviously, you could go around and you could, as I would do normally, go and run the all-together mix into a room emulation or a reverb or a plate or something. A plate is a reverb. Anyway, you could go and do that and you could get closer. But with minimal processing, so I've got 3 EQs and 2 compressors per the entire drum bit. There's no bus processing, there's nothing like that. Just almost exclusively straight out of the mics. Splitting it is better, but it takes longer to record. For more technical pieces, it may not even be applicable because you might physically not be able to play it split. But if you can, it does sound better. I mean, it sounds so much more open. Obviously, in a bigger room, you might be better off doing it all in one. But I think that's almost like listening to the drums in 3D and listening to them in 2D. That's my opinion on how it sounds. But yeah, coming to the end of this, with the processing on it, I think splitting it... Oh, no, calm down. I think splitting it sounds better. So I'd like to see what your opinion is on it. Bye.